Hippocrates, the father of medicine, 400 years BC, no mention of diabetes in his writings. So diabetes is a fairly modern disease. Diabetes is a lifestyle disease. Newton's third law of motion states that to every action there's an equal and an opposite reaction. Why isn't the pancreas working? That's what we should be asking. As Proverbs 26 verse 2 states, the curse causeless shall not come. There is a reason. There is a reason why pancreases are not working.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Barbara O'Neill. Today we're discussing how to cure diabetes. If you're living with diabetes or know someone who is, you understand how challenging it can be to manage. But here's the good news. Diabetes doesn't have to control your life. In fact, studies show that with the right diet and lifestyle changes, many people have been able to reverse type 2 diabetes and significantly improve their health. In this video, I'll be sharing practical, science-backed tips on how you can support your body in healing from diabetes. From nutrition to natural remedies, we'll cover it all.
Now, the pancreas, one of its main roles is to release two hormones. One is insulin, that gets the blood sugar down. The other hormone is glucagon, and that gets the blood sugar level up.
As we look at what happened with wheat, we can see a clear connection between modern health issues and dietary changes. The hybridized wheat, which became so widespread by the 1990s, altered not just the grain, but also how our bodies react to it. This type of wheat has a higher glycemic index, meaning it causes a rapid rise in blood sugar levels, much faster than traditional wheat ever did. This constant spike in blood sugar puts immense pressure on the pancreas to produce more insulin. Over time, the pancreas struggles to keep up with these demands, leading to insulin resistance, which is a precursor to type 2 diabetes. This is why we're seeing such an increase in diabetes cases today, even among younger populations. It's important to note that the problem isn't just with wheat. Modern diets, in general, are overloaded with refined carbohydrates, sugars, and processed foods. These foods not only spike blood sugar levels, but also lack the nutrients our bodies need to function properly. When you compare that to whole, unprocessed foods like vegetables, legumes, nuts, and seeds, it becomes clear that our bodies are designed to thrive on natural foods, not the processed versions.
When the person's blood glucose levels go low, it's called hypoglycemia. Person's feeling a bit dizzy. Why? Because the brain cells consume 15 times the glucose of any other cell. And the brain can only hold a 2-minute supply of glucose. Have you noticed when someone puts on weight, their head doesn't get bigger? There's a skull there. Only so much can be stored. So when blood glucose levels drop down, it only takes 2 minutes before brain's not working. I need a hit, I need a lift, I need a pick-me-up. But inside the body, glucagon's being released, but the person's feeling a bit woozy, so they grab for more sugar. Does that get them up? Oh yes, very fast. But now the whole cycle begins. Oh no, we're too high, quick, release it. Oh no, we're too low. Do you know what eventually happens to pancreases? They just wear out. They're sick of this. I'm against animal abuse, I'm against child abuse, and I'm against pancreatic abuse. But you know, the greatest deception is people are doing it and they don't know they're doing it. Isn't that what deception is? Not as it seems. And there was an ad in Australia, I don't know if it's still on the television, but it had a teaspoon of sugar and it had beautiful country scenes and sugarcane plants in the background, and the white sugar was being poured out, and the slogan said, "Sugar, a natural part of life." Eeh. That's like saying, getting white powder on a spoon and tipping it out with poppy plants in the background, saying, "Cocaine, a natural part of life." Eeh. Be careful of these deceptions. It's like going shopping with the little one, and the little one's been watching television and there's been an ad on. And notice the ads, they're directed to children at children time. Cereal, and the child sees the cereal in the supermarket, I want! And the mother says, we're not having that, it's full of sugars. Where? Child falls on the ground. And then the parent has a choice. They have to quickly leave. They're a bit embarrassed. Or they put their cereal in the basket and child immediately stops. I'll tell you, it's blackmail. Yeah. That's why be very careful what's going into your children's heads. It's revealed in the supermarket, isn't that true? Without us even realising what's going into their head. So when the glucose goes into the cell, it goes into the cell under the action of insulin. Insulin's the key that unlocks the door to get the glucose in the cell. But on the high carbohydrate, high sugar diet, with so much glucose coming in, the cell basically says, we've already got enough. So insulin resistance begins. You've heard of insulin resistance? Insulin resistance usually is the start of diabetes. Insulin resistance happens. So it resists insulin, so the glucose can't get in, so the glucose is floating through the blood. The brain sees it and starts screaming at the pancreas, more insulin, because that's what it thinks. Look at all the glucose in the blood. We need insulin to get it in the cell. Not realising that on the cell wall, there's insulin resistance. Can you see the problem? And the pancreas is getting screamed at more and more and more and more and more. And what's the body going to do with all this glucose in the blood? It'll come out in the urine. Diabetes mellitus means sweet urine.
As glucose accumulates in the blood and spills into the urine, the body begins to experience several symptoms associated with diabetes. Increased thirst is one of the first signs. The body craves fluids to compensate for the lost glucose and maintain hydration. This leads to frequent urination, further depleting essential minerals and electrolytes. As the kidneys work overtime to filter out excess glucose, they can become overworked and damaged over time. Additionally, without proper management of blood sugar levels, the body starts to experience fatigue and weakness. Cells are not receiving the energy they need, resulting in feelings of exhaustion and lethargy. This creates a vicious cycle, as low energy levels can lead to poor dietary choices, further exacerbating blood sugar issues. In the long run, uncontrolled diabetes can lead to serious complications, including nerve damage, kidney disease, and cardiovascular problems.
I had one lady start to cry when she saw this. I said, why are you crying? She said, I'm a diabetic. I'm type 2 diabetic. She said, I was diagnosed 2 years ago. I do everything they tell me. I eat wholemeal bread, wholemeal pasta, wholemeal cereal. And she said, and every 6 months I go to the doctor and he puts me on more insulin. She said, I'm not like the lady down the road. She just eats cakes and candies, but I don't do that. She said, I'm crying because I've been so frustrated, but I have not known what to do. So why aren't the nutritionists told this? How much wheat does America grow? Acres of it. How much wheat does Australia grow? A lot. So it's big industry. So it's not an easy thing to change. And the farmers love the hybridised wheat. They've got to pay their bills. 10 times more grain per acre, that's 10 times more dollars per acre. So you see the problem. So no wonder diabetes has skyrocketed. It's not just the sugar, it's also the wheat. So to conquer diabetes, what do? To conquer diabetes, go for the low glycemic index foods. It's not easy, it's easy. I meant to say it's not hard to get a glycemic index. You can Google that. It's a matter of having berries for breakfast instead of banana. It's as simple as having a sweet potato instead of potato. Having your whole grains, eliminating the wheat. Low GI foods. Number 2, daily legumes. I met a man, he was a scientist, he was 69. He came to our retreat. He said, when I was 42, I was told I had pre-diabetes and to eat legumes every day. He said, I eat legumes every day and I never got diabetes. Because the beans give that lovely, sure, steady delivery of fuel. But how do we stop them causing bloating or wind? You soak them overnight. And then you rinse them very well. And then you bring them to the boil. Have you seen all the froth that comes on? You know what that is? Wind. You got to rinse it away. What I do is when my beans are 3/4 cooked, I rinse them again. And then I put my beans into a delicious sauce. And then you will not have that problem. They'll be a lot easier to digest. When I first married my husband 24 years ago, he could handle lima beans, he could handle red lentils, he could not handle brown lentils, and he could not handle kidney beans. So what I did is at the meal I'd give him a teaspoon. That didn't cause a problem. A few days later, 2 teaspoons. Within a couple of weeks, 3 teaspoons. He can now handle them all. So sometimes if there are some you can't handle and they're even well soaked and rinsed, just start slowly and introduce yourself to them. As we looked at when we looked at the liver, the legumes are only 1/3 the carbohydrate that you will find in your grains. Number 3, there are some things that must stop. What must stop is wheat. What must stop is refined sugar. Now, if someone's looking at conquering diabetes, initially they also need to eliminate all your healthy sugars, like your palm sugar, your maple syrup and honey. So they need to be stopped until the pancreas is starting to recover.
Once the pancreas starts to recover, you can slowly reintroduce some of those healthier sugars, but they should be used sparingly. It's important to remember that healing the body, especially when dealing with diabetes, takes time. The goal is to give your pancreas and liver a chance to repair themselves by minimizing stress from high sugar foods and processed carbohydrates. Another essential step is regular exercise. Movement helps to stabilize blood sugar levels and improve insulin sensitivity. Even something as simple as walking for 30 minutes a day can make a big difference. Exercise helps your cells become more efficient at using glucose, which means your body won't need as much insulin to keep your blood sugar stable.
One young man named Dan did our program. He was type 1 diabetes. He got diabetes after a strong course of antibiotics at the age of 15. He's now 19. He said, my specialist said my pancreas is dead. I said, is it gangrene? What's dead? I said, if there is blood going through your pancreas, it's not dead. The life of the flesh is in the blood. So he began to do this. Another thing is no wheat, no caffeine, and no refined sugar and no caffeine. Caffeine can actually get an insulin response, so that has to be stopped. When he came to our retreat, he ate only low glycemic foods. He had legumes every meal. He started to drink more water, hydration. And what he found was if he felt that he was getting a blood sugar level low between meals, he'd have a little bit of the salt and a glass of water and it would maintain him. I do not advise diabetics eat every 2 hours. because that really disrupts digestion. When we looked at the journey through the gut, did you notice that digestion averages 3.5 to 4 hours? So you've got to leave that break between meals. If you eat food, and this is what Dan did, and we just looked at this, high fibre. Remember what fibre does? It slowly releases the glucose. Generous proteins, there's your legumes, nuts and seeds. They're all low carbohydrates, so you're not overworking the pancreas. And also the healthy fats. We also looked earlier in the week at fats that heal, fats that kill. And the killer fats are your altered fats. There's your deep fried foods, there's your margarines, those fats that have been changed or altered, or your polyunsaturated fats that have been extracted using high heat. They're the dangerous fats. These are the 3 foods that keep the food in the stomach longer. These are the ones that give that steady, consistent delivery of fuel. Also, what Dan did is he began to exercise. And the exercise he implemented was the high-intensity interval training. So he'd put his joggers on every morning and he would run up and down the hills.
This strategy works to help reduce diabetes by targeting the things that have the biggest impact on blood sugar control and overall health. First, eating low glycemic foods like legumes keeps blood sugar steady. These foods break down slowly, which means glucose is released into the bloodstream gradually instead of causing sudden spikes. This is really important for people with diabetes who need to avoid those big jumps in blood sugar. Avoiding refined sugars and caffeine is another key part of the plan. Refined sugars are absorbed quickly and can cause blood sugar levels to rise too fast. This makes the pancreas work harder to produce insulin, which can lead to insulin resistance over time. Caffeine can also trigger an insulin response, making it harder to manage blood sugar. Cutting these out reduces the strain on the pancreas and helps keep blood sugar stable. Healthy fats, like those found in nuts and seeds, also play an important role. They provide energy without spiking blood sugar and help keep you full longer. Plus, healthy fats support other functions in the body, like vitamin absorption and cell health, which are especially important for people with diabetes. Exercise, especially high-intensity interval training, is crucial too. HIIT involves short bursts of intense exercise followed by rest periods, and it's been shown to improve how your body uses insulin. This means your body can lower blood sugar more efficiently. Exercise also burns off excess glucose and helps reduce body fat, which can improve overall blood sugar management. By combining these dietary changes with regular exercise, Dan was able to get better control over his diabetes, reduce blood sugar swings, and improve his health. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this information helpful and inspiring as you take steps to improve your health. Remember, managing and even reversing diabetes is possible with the right changes. If you have any questions or want to share your experiences, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more health tips, and take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. See you in the next video.